It's me after months. Today I want to talk about just mental health stuff. I don't know, obviously that's everywhere lately, and a lot of people are talking about it, and I feel like sometimes it's not in the best ways. So I decided I'm gonna put my 2 cents in, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be doing a face mask. A lot of people are into like skincare and shit like that now. Whatever, I'm just gonna start. Okay, for the face mask, what you're gonna need is turmeric, plain Greek yogurt, raw organic honey, and what else did I put in it? I think that's it. You can use like a little foundation brush to just apply it. So yeah, here we go. So I washed my face, I put toner on, and now I'm just gonna saturate myself in it. Yeah, so mental health. I have struggled with mental health for a long time. I started experiencing anxiety super young. I mean, obviously, I didn't know what that was at that age. My parents didn't, I mean, it wasn't severe, so like no one really noticed it. They just thought I was really shy. But I remember when I was really little, I wasn't that shy. I was pretty outgoing. I was very friendly, even a little bossy, from what I've heard. No one really noticed it, and then my family's always had a lot of issues, but it started to get really bad. Oh my God, it scared the shit out of me. Someone just knocked on the door. It started to get really bad when I was about 12, 13. I entered middle school. Obviously, everyone knows how traumatizing middle school can be for everyone, especially if you have social anxiety. I began to get really depressed between already just being in fucking middle school and everything that was going on in my family at the time. It was just really overwhelming and a lot. At some points in time, I feel like I was suicidal. I never made a plan or anything like that to act on it, but I definitely thought about it a lot, and I definitely didn't want to live, so that was a really good time. I started to just fade in and out over time, like over the years, and sometimes that would be good, sometimes that would be bad. When I got to college, it got really bad, also because of the school that I went to, but that is a whole entire video for another day. I could probably make a series about my college experience, and if anyone watching this went to school with me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But long story short, yeah, suffered through depression and anxiety for a really long time. I didn't know that those were actual things, actual disorders. I thought that was just stuff that everyone experienced, but the more I was exposed to different kinds of people, the more I realized that that's not the norm. But I feel like now it kind of is the norm. I feel like so many people are coming out and talking about their mental health issues, which is awesome. I think it's so good to be open and spread awareness about these issues because it's huge. I mean, so many people in the US struggle with it. I mean, all over the world, but especially in the US, I think it's like 1 in 4 or 1 in 6 or something like that have depression or anxiety. And I could be way off with that, so please don't quote me on that. But even so, like, that's a lot. That's a hell of a lot of people to be going through stuff like that. And that's just not okay. So I want to talk about it. I feel like there's a wave of certain people who handle it really well and who speak really positively about it and who are proactive about their mental health. But then I feel like there are a ton who aren't, and I feel like it's especially younger people, like early 20s, teenagers, who kind of are just very casual about it and make jokes about it. They just live with it. I mean, obviously we all live with it if you have it, because that's not something that just disappears overnight. I don't know. For me, I don't like to be suffering. I mean, who does? But you know what I mean? Like, I don't like to be living in pain. Like, I know especially now that I've really like gotten to know myself. I gotta start the timer. What I was trying to say was I don't like to just sit around and let things control me and what I want to do in life. So I started doing some research. I found a good therapist. I have health insurance, so I'm super blessed and super lucky to have that. I know a lot of you guys don't, but for those who do, there's really no excuse. Like, I understand that depression and anxiety, whatever disorder, whatever you're struggling with, it's really hard to open up about for some people, but experiencing that little bit of discomfort opening up to somebody versus living in misery almost every day of your life is worth it to me. I feel like there's really no excuse. Like, if you have health insurance, go to a therapist, go to a doctor. Like, I also learned from my therapist and from like research that you can just go to a family doctor and you can ask to be screened for depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, borderline, whatever, all of those things. Something that's really important is finding a doctor who is a good listener, who isn't just gonna write off what you're telling them as not important and not as serious as it actually is. You have to be really honest with them. You have to tell them to what degree you're experiencing what you're experiencing. Doing research and talking to certain people, I really wanted to try medication. A lot of people put down antidepressants, and I understand why, because a lot of times people are misdiagnosed. They're given antidepressants when that's not actually what they need. It's just trial and error. That's what a lot of people don't understand with medication for mental disorders. It really is trial and error. There's no way a doctor can just look at you and be like, you need Lexapro. Like, no. There's no way for them to know like what medication is how it's gonna react with your brain, body chemistry, whatever you want to call it. So you just have to try different things until you find what really helps you. I just feel great. Like, I feel like myself, like who I should have been my entire life. It's so freeing. And so I just don't understand why people just settle. And I don't mean to sound super judgmental or critical, because again, I know how hard it can be, but sometimes you need to push yourself. Sometimes you just need a kick in the ass. Like, it's great that we're being so accepting and compassionate toward people like me, like with mental illness, but it gets to a certain point where it just becomes coddling, and you're almost enabling that person to just stay where they are. If someone was physically sick, you would encourage them to go to the doctor, to get medicine, to get help. You wouldn't just be, you have cancer, that's totally fine. Like, it happens. That, like, no, I hope nobody would say that to someone with cancer. You know what I mean? So why is it different with mental illness? Like, pushing someone to get help and to get better does not mean you're judging them, does not mean that you're not accepting them as a person, or does not mean that you don't believe them about what they go through. It means that you care about them enough to want them to feel better, to live their best life. I don't understand. So I want to be that person to tell you that if you're experiencing those things and it gets in the way of your everyday life, freaking get help. If you have health insurance, freaking go to the doctor. Go see a therapist. There is no reason why you should be miserable all the time, that you should feel so trapped because of your mental illness, that you can't live the life that you're supposed to live. Like, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, I believe in God. So I feel like everyone has a purpose in life, and to just let that go to waste, that's just such a tragedy to me. That's just so sad. When you could be doing so much better. Like, you could be doing so much more, like living to your full potential. I think it's really important to be self-aware. Okay, my timer just went off and now I have to rinse this off, but I'm gonna continue this conversation because if not, I'm gonna forget what I was talking about. Sorry if you can't see me, but I'm here. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Recently, I'm literally gonna kneel because I'm so freaking tall. Like, you can't just sit around expect for other people to just accept you and the behavior that your mental state can cause. Like, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean that people are going to be chill when you're constantly ranting and venting to them about how miserable you are, or if you're lashing out at them, or like, that's not fair to them. So I think everyone is responsible for themselves, regardless if you have mental illness or not. So take care of yourself. There's no excuse not to. If you're physically able, you have a healthy body, you can take care of yourself, especially if you have health insurance. Like, freaking take care of yourself. That is pretty much the moral of this video. It's already super long. Okay, I'm about to moisturize my face. Beauty guru. Just kidding, I'm definitely not. This is Vitamin E Moisturizing Cream Age Renewal by Jason. It's like this organic brand. It's really thick, so if you have like oily skin, I would not recommend this. I have really dry skin, so this is good for me. Just take it and rub it all over your face. Anyway, be responsible for yourself, take care of yourself. Learn how to love yourself if you don't yet. Just because you don't right now doesn't mean you never will. Just because your life is shitty right now doesn't mean it always will be. I've been through some really shitty things, but you know what? Things turned out really well for me, and they can turn out really well for you too. So please don't give up on yourself. Please don't take yourself and your health and your happiness and your well-being for granted. You have resources, like, you have options, you have opportunities that so many people in other parts of the world do not and probably never will. So take care of yourself for your sake, for the people around you's sake, for the world's sake, because you never know what your purpose might be. You never know how much of an impact you can have on so many people in this world, and you'd be doing yourself and them an injustice by not learning how to love and care for yourself first. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it speaks to someone. I'll try to make more frequently and not like 4 months apart. Yeah, so have a good day on purpose. Bye.